Welcome to CouncilCast, news bites and insights from the Council of Insurance Agents and Brokers. I'm Rob Boyce, Associate on the Market Intelligence and Insight team here at the Council. I'm joined today by Jonathan Pope, CEO of cyber risk analytics firm Corax. JP, can you give us a little background of yourself and how you became involved in cybersecurity?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So I used to be in the military and then did a number of consulting roles and found myself working for a law firm in a business development capacity. And unexpectedly, the CEO of the firm said to me, cybersecurity, a lot of clients are asking about that, how we're protecting their data, and our IT director is struggling. I need somebody to look into it, report to the board, tell us what the risks are, how much we should spend on security controls or insurance. Go. And I got to say, that was a tough challenge. Not having a technical security background, I really struggled to pull together the information that we needed. And I've got to say, the information that I did get from IT, security and risk was just very technical, very detailed, the sort of thing that not many non-security experts understand. And I thought there's got to be a way of doing this. It's a lot easier. And that's why we started Corax, with the aim of essentially triangulating those three components, sort of IT security with risk and finance and the board, and putting them on the same page and translating all of that technical information into a language that means that decision makers, non-technical people, can compare cyber with other business risks in an apple versus apples type way. So that's where we started.
Great. So what made you transition your product towards the insurance industry? Was there an aha moment that just made sense for you guys?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we'd always had half an eye on risk transfer as a component within the solution that we were building. The aha moment was kind of combination of really struggling to make an impact in the market. The security crowd is very difficult to penetrate because chief information security officers, security teams are inundated with vendors like us knocking on their doors saying that they've got the next kind of silver bullet. And then the other thing is that in connection with that, it is a very crowded market, not just within the security space itself, but within the sort of subsector that we sat in, which was kind of continuous risk monitoring. So we were in conversations with a number of insurers and brokers on relating to risk transfer and the applicability of our product. And we also managed to recruit an ex-cyber insurance underwriter who had 20 years of experience underwriting cyber. And his insight helped us essentially decide, right, there's a different approach here, and that is to take what we've built and apply it to cyber insurance, and specifically to carriers and brokers.
Great. So can you tell us a little bit more about your product, especially from a broker perspective?
Yeah, in essence, we provide them the information that helps them sell more cyber insurance. So that's a combination of pricing-related information for their customers. And by that I mean helping their customers understand how much an incident would cost them and what level of coverage therefore would be appropriate, as well as what are the chances of it happening. And how do I compare versus my peer group? And that's important because brokers want meaningful, defensible metrics which they can put in front of their clients to help cross-sell cyber into them. And essentially that's what we provide them.
Right, so both from a frequency and severity standpoint, helping them assess the risk.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, so when it comes to cyber coverage, what are you hearing from the brokers and the carriers? What's the main struggle for pricing cyber coverage at this moment?
Coming up with something that is more than a finger in the air number. So we all know that essentially market dynamics drive the actual price that's paid, but substantiating where the starting point is for that market pricing is tricky. And if it wasn't tricky, we wouldn't be in business. So it's very much our business to provide kind of technical pricing, putting a dollar value, if you like, on what it might cost that organisation. And brokers really, they're really interested in that. We're hearing a lot about that, and we're also hearing, certainly on the carrier side, kind of more about aggregation. What does it look like rolled up?
So to properly analyze cyber risk or a firm's cybersecurity posture, compared to other lines of insurance that are using historical models to assess risk, what does your product do? How do you gather the data, and where does this data come from?
Firstly on the point about historical data, so I think we're just starting to see the emergence of data from the last couple of years. So it's not particularly historic, but it's starting. And actually, somebody was asking me a question the other day about how we validate the metrics that we produce in our software based on the data input and our calculations. Actually, it's validated at source because we are using data that is coming from actual breach-related data, i.e., itemized invoices of costs for forensics, legal costs, etc. And then on the business interruption side, we're seeing essentially performance data on the uptime of internet infrastructure providers. So actually, that historical data is starting to appear. In terms of how our product works, we take data from a whole bunch of different sources relating to either threat intelligence, commercial information, breach databases, business interruption, as I said, in terms of performance metrics of internet service providers, and then also some cyber hygiene data. So that's essentially data on what technology a company is using and what are the kind of assets, the software or hardware that it's exposed to the internet that perhaps shouldn't be, and what are the vulnerabilities on those. So we pull together all of that information from a combination of paid for open source sources or information we've gathered ourselves, and we put that through our risk analytics engine, and the output is exactly as you said earlier, it's severity and frequency numbers and other stuff too.
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier when we were talking that you can use open source data to tell something as specific as whether or not an insurance employees are updating patches. So you can really dive in there and assess a cyber risk more from the inside than a normal firm would be able to.
A question we always get is, surely there's only so much you can see from the outside. And that's absolutely right. There is a limit. But it's amazing what you can infer from an outside view. It's also amazing how difficult it is to get internal information. But for example, we can't see from an external perspective whether an organisation has a information security policy in place. We can't see what the kind of policies and procedures are like for an organisation in relation to cybersecurity. But actually, we can see whether or not they have security staff. We can see that, for example, by LinkedIn profiles, and you can infer quite a lot about the maturity when it comes to cyber risk of an organisation based on whether or not they've got security staff. So having an external view is limited, but actually you can infer quite a lot.
Wow. So what else does Corax do other than just price a cyber policy? Does it help clients better understand their organization's cybersecurity posture?
So in a number of sort of cyber hygiene related areas, so you mentioned vulnerabilities, yes. Also ports and databases that are exposed to the internet that perhaps shouldn't be. Reliance on relatively poor performing vendors. Anyone that's they're using for internet related services, be that cloud infrastructure, DNS provision, etc. DNS resilience as well. So actually all these things we can pick up in an automated, non-intrusive fashion, and brokers are keen to use that information to help advise their customers on what steps they can take that can improve that risk posture.
Great. So I'm going to end on an industry-wide question. And according to the Council's Cyber Insurance Market-Wide Survey, take-up rates among brokers' clients have kind of staggered around 29 to 32% take-up rate in the industry. In your opinion, what needs to happen in the industry for the cyber market to mature?
Confidence. Confidence at three levels: reinsurer level, and then carrier level, and then I would say broker/customer level. So the top and the bottom are the most important. So the top level, I think reinsurers are still unsure of their clarity on their level of exposure in relation to cyber, and that is causing a locking up of capital. And then on the opposite end, the broker/customer side, That lack of confidence, frankly, just comes down to this is a complicated technical subject. Brokers are relatively inexperienced in selling it in, and customers are relatively inexperienced in buying it. So what does it take to improve understanding and confidence in it? Firstly, I think those defensible metrics, ones that are defensible because they are backed by evidence rather than just finger in the air. This is what a security expert says. Secondly, by providing the sort of pricing information that we're talking about, i.e., if this happens, what would it cost? How certain can we be of that cost? And what coverage are you offering? And those two things combined, I think, will certainly help the uptake. And I speaking to a lot of CIAB members, 5 years is what their response has typically been when I've said to them, when do you think cyber insurance will become not necessarily mature, but more mature than it is now? 2 years feels a little bit quick. 5 years, probably 10 years, it'll already be there in 10 years. So people are saying 5 years. I think that's reasonable.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your insight. It sounds like you guys are doing some very interesting work, and we're looking forward to hearing more about Corax. So thank you for joining us for CouncilCast, News Bites and Insights with the Council of Insurance Agents and Brokers. Until next time, be sure to follow us on Twitter for all the latest updates. We're at the CIAB. Thank you.